Hi, this is Jeff White with Life and Living Now and Versatile Fighting Arts. And I want to do a video to kind of go as a complement to the email that I sent out the other day to a lot of the Qigong people as well as the martial arts people that are on the mailing list about the microcosmic orbit meditation that I introduce during Qigong sessions. It's a very old practice. I first learned it not through Qigong, but actually through more of the meditation. Um, my initial meditation experiences and direction came more from Hindu side of things. And there, we ran into the microcosmic orbit as well. Yogananda Paramahansa writes about it in his book. And so there's always something to it. Now, when ever I encounter, you know, a lot of Eastern thought, then which is very holistic, very individual and or centric. So it kind of works from the inside out. Western medicine, in a simplistic view of things, kind of works from the outside in. And I like to see how well I can pair the two. In some ways, and I'm reading through a lot of the old literature, from Chinese and Japanese, and I don't speak the languages, so I'm trusting in the translations. But you also come up with they're very flowery. Because they were oral traditions, they were passed down, which means there's a lot of repetition, obviously, and that happens a lot in the writing. But also, it's very illustrative. So they use metaphors a lot and things that make it kind of obscure and they're good. It anchors the thought, anchors the concept, but nowadays it may be not translated as well into our culture. But I like to find ways that Western science is supporting or not supporting Eastern thought and Eastern findings as well. And typically, I find that they do support. I a lot of times I will look at um, some of the writings and the old writings, and like I said, very flowery speech and things like that. And I understand that they were trying to communicate a concept, an idea. And there's an evolution in the presentation of ideas, and so I also hold the possibility that what they ascribed as a cause may not actually be the cause as we get more information, more data, more testing, more subjects into doing it, and then we find out more information. So that's what I like. And sometimes, Western science will help support and clarify what's going on the Eastern side. Eastern side, because it starts with the individual and so does my personal philosophies, then I tend to trust that. But also, if there is a Western symptom, then I also believe in looking into the Eastern side of thought to see, okay, where within that person, where within me was the cause of that. And usually it has to do with our assumptions, our beliefs, etc. So when we come down to the governing channel in this microcosmic orbit meditation, I have found it to be very powerful, and so I use that in the qigong, but we use it, in very sparingly because it's part of the larger process. But you can also do the microcosmic orbit as a separate practice. Just you can bring it into part of your meditation practice, which is how, as I mentioned earlier, that's how I discovered it, and really did not link it into qigong until many years later after I got into the martial arts and qigong. So, according to Chinese Qigong theory, there are energetic lines or meridians that run throughout the body. And these meridian channels, they feed and they energize our bodies. And two of the major meridians that are what commonly referred to as the governing and the conception channel, also referred to as Dumai and Renmai. And the governing conception channels run vertically from the perineum to the crown of the head, kind of goes over, hits um, over the upper lip. The conception channel also kind of starts perineum and runs up and ends at the lower lip. Um, So harmonizing and balancing these particular meridians is what we're achieving when we practice Qigong, and especially the microcosmic orbit meditation. Now, it is thought in Qigong theory that I can focus on all the different meridians that run through my body, and that's perfectly fine. But more simply, if I will focus on those two major channels, like arteries, is one way to think about it, and then they will harmonize, balance, and feed or add to or take away from the other channels as they may need it, because the channels at times some may get more stagnant, may run more slowly, others have greater flow to them. And if we pay attention to filling, harmonizing, and energizing this governing and conception channel, then it will feed into the other channels as well. So the microcosmic orbit meditation, also called small heavenly circle, is how I've also read that. Said it aids in the balance, as I mentioned, of yin and yang energies, masculine and feminine. Feminine. It supports nervous system balance and can improve vitality, emotional regulation, and focus. So these two channels then will balance the flow of energy, and the other meridians, as I mentioned, taking away energy when it's too much and adding to other meridians when they are deficient. The governing channel is thus named, and because that's my question was, why are they named that? Well, the governing channel is named because it is said to govern, enhance, harmonize, control the yang meridians and the organs, and it does not mean it has rigid control. Rather, that it enhances, it modifies, it maintains order and coherence within those yang meridians and yang organs. The yang organs are those that are hollow and typically are involved with things like digestion, transporting, and waste secretion. And so these and the other associated meridian lines. Now, also, please note in traditional Chinese medicine, the organs, when they refer to the organs, they're not just talking about the physical organ like a liver or a heart. They're also looking at the entire process and systems of which those organs are thought to be a part of. So, in Eastern thought and traditional Chinese medicine, the say the liver would actually this would be referring to the entire process, not just the organ. Um, so it's important to recognize that. But the young organs would include things such as the stomach, the large intestine, the small intestine, the gallbladder, the bladder, the triple warmer. And the triple warmer is not an actual organ in Western sense of things, but it's an overarching process within the body. So all of the young organs and processes are connected to the governing channel. It supports warmth, it supports movement, it supports vitality. When strong and robust, then it can aid in the promotion of vitality, resilience, and upright posture, helping you breathe better. When the governing channel is weak, then things like fatigue, coldness of the body can appear. Now, per traditional text, the governing channel runs up the midline of the back alongside the spine, enters the brain, and therefore it's also correlated with mental clarity, with memory, with focus, emotional stability as well. Because of its connection to the kidneys and the Ming Men, life gate lumbar area of the back is the Ming Men, then it also supports instinct with growth and maturation, sexual vitality, and constitutional strength. Now, the conception channel runs from, once again, the perineum, runs up the center line and along the throat right up to the lower lip. So the conception channel receives, it refines, it nourishes, and it stores energy. So you see, the governing is more about harmonizing, manipulating, not rigid control, but enhancing and modifying. It's more action oriented. And conception has to do more with receiving and storage. Um, so the exception channel is involved with the yin meridians and the organs, and of course, it's involved in the storage of energy, as I said, nourishment, reproduction, and bodily fluid regulation. This is the primary yin reservoir for the body, is this conception channel. The pathway is linked to breath, emotional tone, hormonal balance, reproductive vitality, like digestive tract, and the parasympathetic nervous system. The conception channel, it receives, it refines, it nourishes, and stores energy. It runs up through the end organs and the chest. It's linked to modifying anxiety, grief, feelings of vulnerability, and the ability to receive. So it is said that a strong conception channel gives you a feeling of, I can breathe through this. So we want to have a strong balance of them both. The organs of the conception channel would be the lungs, the heart, the spleen, the kidneys, and the liver. The conception channel is also most affected by breath work, and especially that deep diaphragmatic breathing that we utilize in Qigong and in our martial arts. And it's said that when diaphragm relaxes, the channels open. When the channels open, then the mind quiets. And that is what we're after. So, with a strong conception channel, so you may feel a sense of warmth in the lower abdomen, a tingling in the throat or the lips, a softening of the chest, easier breathing. It helps to provide a sense of emotional release, a grounded and centered sense of presence. Excuse me, a feeling of coming home to the body. So that gives an introduction to the governing channel or the do channel and the conception or the Renmai channels, their location and their use. But how do we become more aware of the channels? And most importantly, can we enhance and affect the channels to our benefit? The answer to that particular question is the microcosmic orbit, or its other name, small heavenly cycle. Now, in the microcosmic orbit meditation, the governing channel lifts and activates energy within the mind and body. The conception channel nourishes, regulates. It regulates things like stress. It cools the energy, and that the governing channel lifts. So one channel lifts and activates, the other channel cools and nourishes. So without the balance of the yin channel, the energy would be simply too fiery, too active in the governing channel, too mental, too destabilizing. So the microcosmic orbit meditation harmonizes those energies then to our benefit. So how do we practice this thing? It's actually very easy, but it does require your focus, your mindfulness, and breath. And it's important to understand that the core idea is that this practice enables you to become more aware of and sensitive to the loop that is formed by both channels working together. Important point. The governing channel runs up the back from the perineum to the upper lip. The conception channel runs down the front from the mouth to the lower dantian, perineum. You can make that connection. When entering the practice, okay, you can either stand or sit. I first learned it with sitting, but it does not matter. And you can do this standing as I teach it in the Qigong classes. I will do it when I'm standing, in the grocery line. It's a long line. You can do this most anywhere. There are times I will do it on road trips. If I'm driving down the road or if I'm stuck in traffic, then I will engage in this microcosmic orbit meditation. So you can stand or you can sit. It makes absolutely no difference. Relax your spine, relax your body. Okay. You want to engage your mind, but you don't want to have a lot of resistance as well. So you engage in deep diaphragmatic breathing. Really let that belly relax and feel like you're pushing that belly out. Now, visualize leading energy, not pushing, but leading energy up from your perineum, up along your spine, over the crown of your head to the upper lip. Place your tongue on the palate just behind your teeth. So on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. And as you inhale, as you lead energy up the spine, and you exhale as you visualize energy going down the front. As I said, we never push energy. Push creates tension. Leading assumes it's already there, and leading is what guides it in. So we lead that energy. And this is, there's not to be any tension or any resistance in the body or the mind. The microcosmic orbit meditation is an excellent way to enhance, increase your awareness of, and then utilize your internal energy. When you visualize and lead the energy, you will find a visualization that works for you. Some imagine a warm liquid flowing, others feel they engage better visualizing light, others tend to visualize just flowing energy, and however they want to do that. And all the visualizations are conceptual in nature. So it's not really the real thing, but it is an anchor for you for that concept to express that concept. And the exact illustration then can be personal to you in your private practice. Now, a small bit of an advanced practice would be as I inhale, I pull up on the perineum. So I pull up as I inhale and I send that energy up over my head to upper lip. And then as I exhale, I release perineum and I lead that energy down. Inhale, lead energy up. Exhale, lead energy down. Visualize that warm, glowing liquid, that energy. And I have I have found within just a few weeks of doing that, I actually would feel the energy going up my spine, and I would feel it um, compressed in lower dantian. So that was another way. Now, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, the practice will aid in improving your physical health by enhancing the flow of energy to and in support of your organs, your immune system, and just general vitality. Additionally, it can aid in the enhancement of mental clarity, emotional balance, and with the right mindfulness, help create a stronger awareness and perception of connection to your inner self. So, you know, and I say perceived connection is really we're already connected. Um, so understand this. We take everybody where they are. We begin to establish a connection with our internal energy, and then we realize that was really already there. We're just making it more known to our conscious mind. Um, so it's we're seldom truly aware of the fact we already are whole, that we already the inner self is already the real self, but we are so caught in our ego mind and the concepts that we use to try and to navigate our life that we don't really see who we truly are and how we truly are. And this is a way to kind of get there, to shut down the mind, but it also enlivens and brings vitality to the mind and body. So start small, about 5 minutes with this meditation. As you grow more comfortable and you feel the benefits more, then you can increase your time spent in the meditation. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're standing or sitting. I've engaged in meditation, as I said, caught long lines as well as driving, so you can do it from anywhere. Mindfulness and breath, visualization, those are going to be the keys. So, enjoy your meditation time. I'd love to hear how it's benefited you. And I want to thank you much. And we'll see you next time.